Hello everyone, welcome to Travel Together Conversation. The theme for the month is reflecting on 2024 and we have a wonderful speaker for you, Temi Oketunji. He has over 19 years of experience in information technology. He has successfully led and delivered projects in healthcare, public sector, private and financial services. Some of the notable ones include NHS COVID test and trace, a vital national service during the pandemic, as well as DVSA vehicle testing service used to test all heavy-duty vehicles in the UK. Currently, Temi works as a lead DevOps engineer in one of UK's leading financial institutions, where he oversees developing data-driven platforms to give insight that improve business outcomes. Temi holds a master's degree in computer science from the Blekinge Institute of Technology, Karlskrona, Sweden, specializing in informatics. In his free time, because of his love for football, he's an English FA Level 1 coach and he's also a Bedfordshire FA Level 7 referee. Thank you for joining us on Traveling Together.
Thank you very much for having me. Pleasure to be here.
The theme for the month is reflecting on 2024. So it would be nice to hear from you. What are your own highlights from 2024 and what would you like to share with our followers?
Fantastic question. Well, 2024 started brilliantly, given the fact that we came out of COVID and we were beginning to get our lives together again. So I, at that time, reflected on opportunities that I missed during COVID because as it is, there were lots of opportunities that abound during COVID, but a lot of people didn't take it. I mean, one of the things I was reflecting on is that I could have actually taken another master's during COVID and studied at home, and I didn't have to go to school to do that. Or I could actually have increased my level of investment since I wasn't spending money on transport and whatnot. All that money I could have put it into investment to get more money. I was also reflecting of changes, lifestyle changes I could make to with myself, reflecting of how much time I lost in not exercising and not changing my lifestyle. How much time I lost watching a lot of TV rather than doing some of the other things that brings value into my life. How much time I also lost on watching the news and capturing, what is happening in the news, how many people have caught COVID, how many people are in the hospital. That is all time I can't redeem anymore. So I reflect on my time, I reflect on my investment, I reflect on education, I reflect on family, and so on. So I have had reflection at the beginning of the year, and this is a continuous process as well. We reflect to be better people.
Well done. Very, 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 very relatable. We're going to start with the career and professional life. I'm so excited because you work in IT, which is the field I also work in. So as a professional in the field of IT, how do you navigate the whole field and especially career progressions?
Very good question. IT is quite complex. It's competitive. It's growing. It's changing. And navigating it is one of the challenges that people in the profession have most of the time. How do I move to the next field in IT? Well, primarily, you need to ask yourself, what are you looking for? What kind of expertise and what kind of time are you interested in giving to learning? So basically, you have to continuously learn. IT is evolving. It keeps evolving. It keeps changing. The tooling keeps changing every time. And trends as well keep shifting. So if you are interested in progressing in the field of IT, you need to understand that it is a learning phase. You have to keep learning. You have to keep moving with the trend. Once you are able to do that, you will see that once the next trend comes about, you are ready to jump on it as well. So very crucially as well is that you can't be a trend follower. You can't play catch up with trend. You have to be in it. Because when you play catch up with trend, you will see that you're not taking full advantage of when something new happens. It's just like, when you are, for example, a developer or a DevOps engineer. When the DevOps field came into being, it was niche area. It was an area that a lot of developers were moving in and a lot of engineers as well were moving into it. But as we speak, it is beginning to slow down a bit. And so if you do not see that, look, the next trend now is talking about AI.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're in IT field and you are not beginning to think about AI, it's either closing up what you're doing and moving straight away, or seeing how AI impacts your field in IT you're in, that you're doing yourself a disservice.
Fantastic. I love that. A lot of continuous learning. So you've said a lot of things about advancement in IT. Just thinking of someone that is just starting out in their career, what would you advise in terms of where do they start from, knowing that there is a rapid pace of development in IT? What will you say to someone who is just starting out in this field?
Yeah, I mean, for someone who's starting out in the field as an entry level person, in this century we are in, on the time we're in now, acquiring a degree in IT is not more fashionable. It's not
Mm-hmm.
more. It's not more essential.
Mm-hmm.
You can get into it in various different ways through apprenticeship, through entry level job. And so, if you want to start it, you think about, do you want to go to university? Do you want to just go into apprenticeship? A lot of big organizations are beginning to favor this even more now. And that doesn't say that don't go to university. Yours might be going to university. Because one thing with IT is that when you go into university, you start from the basic. You
Mm-hmm.
learn the binary, what makes up IT. You learn all this core basic foundational information about IT. But when
Mm-hmm.
you go on apprenticeship, you're just learning, starting from somewhere, not the bottom, not
Mm-hmm.
understanding the whole that forms IT. So if you are starting, make sure you join IT forums. Make sure you are listening to different blogs, different IT blogs that can improve you, and sign up to online resource, the Udemy, the Pluralsight, the free camp code, and all these kind of things. And then try and find a mentor that can mentor you and show you the ropes of how to go about this.
Fantastic, Temi. Thank you so much for that response. You've talked about AI. I love that. What other innovations do you foresee are going to come up in the coming years as IT develops and progresses?
Well, from where we stand, I don't foresee any new kind of technology, because once something comes out, everyone just focuses on it.
Mm-hmm.
What I would say is that there will be branches of things that pertains to AI or other fields plugging into AI. As we speak, there is a new field, not new, but it's now getting more traction, and that is bioengineering.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what bioengineering is just an example. Today, people get sick and they need medication, they need treatments and all that. We will get to a place where, based on your lifestyle, bioengineering would have collected your genetic history, your genetic profile,
Wow.
and it would add it with your way of living, your lifestyle, your where you live, where you're from, and it would be able to predict that if you continue this lifestyle, if you continue to live where you are, by the age of certain this, you might develop diabetes.
Mm.
Or if you continue this way, by the age of this, you might develop some kind of disease. And what it will do is that it's going to create a personalized medicine for you.
Mm.
And it's going to be preventive. So by
Mm.
that age, you won't be developing that sickness anymore because it has prevented it over time. That is called personalized medicine. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Temi, for everything you have shared so far. The next segment of questions is going to be under economy and business opportunities. So you talked a lot about innovations in IT. So the next question I have for you, what sectors of market show the most promising investment or innovation for 2024, and what do you foresee for the coming years?
Right. I think I've started answering that already, but I'll continue
Yes.
in that because of the field I find myself and the fact that I'm in tune with the trends
Mm.
of what is going on. And I'll say AI again.
Mm.
Now, AI is not a new trend. It is not just happened yesterday. The word AI was coined since 1950. So you can imagine that it has metamorphosized into different things.
Mm.
Different types of AI has also come up. Now, this new type of AI we are in now is called generative AI.
Mm.
Now, what it means is that you are generating new content from input data. And the reason why generative AI became popular is because of ChatGPT, for
Mm-hmm.
example. Now, ChatGPT is a type of generative AI. That is, you give it something and it gives you
Mm-hmm.
something back. Now, with that, with generative AI, you can also generate different things, not just text. You can generate video, you can generate audio, you can generate language, natural language processing. That is language translation. So basically, when you say something in one language, multiple different languages can come out of it. So I'll say again, AI is one of the most engaging trends in this time that can bring about opportunities. One other thing that brought about opportunities in the 2024 is semiconductors. Now, why semiconductors became popular is because of the fact that to be able to compute generative AI, you need computational power. Coming up with computational power, you need high advanced chip technology to be able to do this. And that's why NVIDIA came up.
Love it.
And you see it everywhere. That's why NVIDIA stocks and shares shot up to over 500%. Now, the reason why it did that is because NVIDIA was the early adopters to creating these advanced chips that are needed for generative AI. So you can imagine that this comes about a lot of business opportunities as well and investment opportunities as well. And that's why you have that stocks of Nvidia and stock of S&P 500 companies shot up because of the fact that Nvidia itself brought about over 500% return on investments.
It's interesting that you mentioned NVIDIA. I know we are based in the UK, so we don't want to assume that everybody knows. So for other regions, all these advancements and all these things you mentioned about AI, how does this benefit other regions, developing economies and third world countries?
Yeah, I mean, IT is global. It's not coined for any region, any country. NVIDIA is a global company that deals with semiconductor and technology that are within a chip. So they deal with advanced chip technology in what they develop. Now, in terms of the other region that actually took on the advancement in technology and ran with it. Now, in a World Economic Forum that happened in 2024, it came out of there that two countries who are the early adopters and early investors into this transformational technology of this century is Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. What Saudi Arabia is doing right now, they are building a smart city. They call it NEOM. Now, what NEOM is doing is that in NEOM is just going to be a 5 minutes to go from one end to the other of that city.
Beautiful.
And in that city, it's such that there are no roads, there are no vehicle. It's all advanced smart technology, and it's just changing the way of living. It encourages people to eat. There's some certain kind of food you will not find in that region. So anybody who wants to live there, you have to adhere to some certain rules in living there. But this is something that started in 2017 and is currently being built in Saudi Arabia as we speak.
So really, this technological advancement benefits all regions. We just need to take
Absolutely.
advantage of the opportunities.
Absolutely.
Wow, I'm learning so much already. I mean, I thought I was in the IT field, but I'm really picking up a lot from you. So we're going to move into the next block of questions, which is finance and independence. You've already kind of hinted things like Nvidia stocks, things like generative AI. So what advice would you share on making financial decisions? Because as you know, we are transitioning into the new year. People are thinking about their finances. People are thinking about what sectors to invest in. So what kind of knowledge can you pass on for those that are watching?
Yeah, I mean, financial decisions is kind of personal. Nobody can tell you how to handle your finances because I don't know how much you earn. I don't know if after paying all your bills, if you have anything left and whatnot. So, but let me assume that you're paid enough to have something left. Now, I have seen people who have said that I like to see money in my account. That is, they want to see liquid cash, or they have 2,000, 5,000 in their accounts and they are happy, and it makes them happy.
Sure.
There's nothing wrong with that. You see, when you
Absolutely.
want to be happy because you've got that money in your account. But do you know that if, for example, I did this a while ago, having a figure of maybe £10,000 in your account, right? For example, with £10,000 in your account for the year, you wouldn't get £100 interest in your account. But if you are taking that £10,000 and put in some stock, ISA or whatnot, you could have gotten around, depending on the market and the interest, you could have gotten anything between 200 and 1,500 back.
Wonderful.
You can flip these shares very quickly and then reinvest in something else, and before you know it, you've built it. Now, a lot of us have pension funds, right? You do pension and you put your pension in some certain pension providers. But do you know that these pension providers invest this money for you?
Yes,
But if you know finances and how to invest this money, you would have grown your investment times 3 of what these companies can give you. So especially if you leave an organization and you leave your pension with the pension provider of the other organization is doing you no favor. There's nothing you are gaining from that. Take your investment and move it out. I'm not going to be giving any financial advice because I am not qualified to do that.
So
This is just personal
personal.
personal things. But making smart financial decision, you just have to keep learning,
Mm.
keep reading blogs, keep following people on YouTube. You have Ramsey Show, you have Vincent Chan, you have Matthew O'Neill. These are people that can teach you how to handle money, how to make informed decision, how to what to invest in and the likes. And this would really help in improving your money than just putting it in a regular bank.
Thank you. I'm just thinking of a scenario. What advice will you give? You mentioned something about continuous development. You have someone who has been in a career, has been working hard, has been putting in his or her, best foot forward, and you just feel like they're not properly compensated. And you're a marketplace leader. What will you advise for someone who is looking to improve their purchasing power so that they can have something left to go and invest in some of these things that you mentioned? How will you advise such a person?
Yeah, I mean, in our career, either as a starter or in the middle of your career or even advancing your career, there will be times where you will feel undervalued.
Hmm.
It is nothing to do with your personality or how you look or where you're from. It's just what the market is. It is difficult out there. It's not child play. It's
Mhm.
you're competing. It's like a race, right? So, but what you can do, unless you are an underperformer, then that's something different. There's
Mm.
nothing we can do about that. They employ you to perform, they employ you to give value.
Mhm.
But if you're not an underperformer and you are sure about your expertise and your contribution to the place of work you are, you have to go out there to seek value.
Mm.
Come back and renegotiate your package.
Mm.
There are sometimes that companies might take you for granted and oh yeah, you've been here 5 years, there's nowhere you're going, yeah, we like, just give you all those little, yeah, you're doing well. But if you know that you're interested in, look, you're not seeing what I'm saying. You have to go and look for a job that pays higher there and come back and say, look, I have this. Do
Mm.
you want to match it? And then start renegotiating your package.
Love it.
That's the way I have gone around some of these things in the past.
Mm. So it's okay to take a walk and go and demand go
Absolutely,
to
but you have to be clever about it.
of course.
If you're because you could as well do that and say, yeah, 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 goodbye, off you go. So you have to be careful and strategic about this. You have to know your value within the organization before you try out things like that because it might backfire and you
I
you
know.
might be without a job at the end of the day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's very good advice. So we're going to the exciting part now, work and personal life. Do you consider it necessary to align professional aspirations and personal values?
absolutely. You spend most of your life at work.
Mm-hmm.
And what sustains you is the value that you have, personal values that you have that you can then align with your professional life. You actually bring your values into work, and that helps you navigate setbacks and also helps you in achieving those overarching goals that wraps themselves around your personal life. So a deep sense of purpose tied with your personal value is what helps you in navigating professional life.
Thank you for that. And like you wear many hats. I mean, you're a father, you work, you're a thought leader, you're a husband, a DevOps engineer, and a Chelsea supporter, referee. I mean, the list is endless. How are you able to manage all these different aspects of your lives?
Again, it has to do with work life balance, which I wouldn't say I've gotten it right. I just learned to adapt in any particular situation I find myself. I'm fluid. I can say, you know what, I don't want to do this now. I want to do this. So I have different things that I can dabble into that are my interests and
Mm.
have the values I have and the hobbies that I have that helps me sometimes in recalibrating to acquire the strength that you need in the professional life as well.
Also, reflecting on your bio as well, you have varied interests. So, how will you advise someone who is looking to find a way to prioritize their interest? What advice will you give them to be able to manage all these different elements that they want to pursue in the context of their relationships? And I say that because, as a father, as somebody who works, how are you able to still fulfill all your responsibilities without burnout? How will you advise someone who is struggling in that area?
Well, again, I might have to take us back to what gives us joy. What
Mm,
are our values? What
mm,
are the deeper sense of belonging that you have in your life? So you can't take on more than you can. You see what I
mm,
mean? You can't, if you take on more than you can manage, then you will be burnt out as it were. So sometimes you need to just generate those inner strengths,
mm,
just keep refining yourself, generating those inner strength, find yourself in a place of peace where
mm,
you can just understand yourself, basically
mm,
understand when you withdraw and say, you know what, no, this is too much, you need to withdraw for a bit. So nobody can teach you how to do that.
mm,
You just have to find yourself in a place that this makes more sense to me. When this happen, when I do this brings up a more positive outcome. So it can be taught, it can be said, this is what you should do. It's
mm.
not a one fits all solution.
Thank you. So we're going into the leadership and influence segment. If someone has a desire to impact others positively, what approach would you recommend that they take to accomplish this?
All right, very good question. Impacting people doesn't necessarily mean that you are so aware that I want to impact you.
Mm,
Sometimes you impact people from afar.
mm,
You impact people by your personality. You impact people by your way and mode of carrying yourself.
mm.
So, but what I would say is that dwell more on fulfilling your personal
I
values.
like that.
And then you can inspire others by your action that comes out of your personal values. So if you have values you hold dear and you spend time on developing and refining your personal values, you will see that when it comes to inspiring others, it would be via your action. So you have to make small strides, small adjustments. You have to be selfless. You have to
Mm,
just be selfless and just, people will and be endeared to you. People will be drawn to you because of the fact that they see something in you that inspires them, which you got from your values.
mm. So this means a leader is not someone that has a senior position. You can lead from any position that you find yourself.
Absolutely. A person who is 10 years younger than yourself can inspire you,
Mm,
can change something about you. So everybody gets inspiration in different ways. I can be inspired by a 6 year old, by 5 year old, it doesn't matter. If you open up yourself for inspiration, you can be inspired in any
I
quarters.
like that part, opening up yourself, which actually ties into the next question about personal accountability and receiving feedback. Would you say people are open to feedback or people resist feedback? What do you think?
It is human nature that people reject negative feedback.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to feedback, if you are interested in improving, in going to the next stage of your life, you have to take on feedback, be it positive or negative. I would even say be careful more about positive feedback than
Mm,
negative feedback because positive feedback can give you a sense of achievement that would hinder you from going to your next step in life.
mm,
But if you take negative feedback as one of the essentials you have to have, that's why in the company sometimes they tell you that no, give us those feedback, and that's why they encourage people to give anonymous feedback so
mm,
that they know it's so important that if we have to develop, we have to take those negative feedback
mm,
seriously. So if you are someone who you cringe on positive feedback but you don't like negative feedback, you have to start rethinking it because even as much as it is hard to take and digest, it is what would help you in your next stage in life, especially when they come as constructive feedback. Because some people give you feedback, but they just give you feedback because they want to hurt you.
mm,
But if it comes as constructive feedback, oh, we think you're doing this okay, but you can do it better in this way. Then
mm.
those kind of feedback, you should definitely be open to them.
And since we are talking about reflection, you reflect on that feedback and see how
Absolutely.
you can apply it to your life.
Absolutely.
Sound. Thank you so much. So we're going to move into the final segment, future goals and aspirations. We're approaching December now. People are thinking about New Year resolutions. People are thinking about what they want to accomplish in the new year. If you have to encourage people, how will you encourage people to plan for the new year? How will you encourage them in terms of setting goals and setting their achievements?
Okay. Yeah, it's good to have that feeling of that Christmas is coming soon.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to have that feeling that you've gone through 12 months. Whatever it is that you've gone through in that month is meant to refine you for the future.
Mm.
But when it comes to setting goals, it's so easy to set goals. So basically, to set your goals, you have to set them small and achievable.
Mm.
Now, set the big goals, but you have little tiny actions that you want to take to be able to achieve those goals. Now, every year, unfailingly, on the 27th of every year, I bring out my book. I mean, I've been doing it for the last 4 or 5 years. I bring out my book and I begin to write down what I want to achieve this year.
Mm.
And at the end of the year, I see that I've achieved at least 60 to 65% of them. And the one I haven't achieved, I push it to the next year. Now, achieving this, by the time you have done this, you will see that you are moving towards achieving all the goals of your life. Some goals you set them and say, you know what, next year, this is not viable anymore. Throw it out and add more depending on the current circumstances. So in setting goals, make them achievable, make them small. Be true to yourself, because sometimes you just set a goal that you can't really achieve. You see what I'm so set those goals that are achievable and categorize them in
Mm.
different categories as to how you think you're going to achieve this particular goal, and refresh them and rethink them as the year
Mm.
goes along.
And I think that's where people talk about SMART goals:
Mm.
specific, measurable, achievable, are reliable, and time bound. So this thing about 9 to 5 and being an entrepreneur, as we approach the end of the year and approach a new year, people are in a situation where they're also contemplating: should I continue with my 9 to 5? Should I delve into becoming an entrepreneur? How can I achieve financial independence if I continue with a 9 to 5 job where my skills are not recognized? What would be your first instinct to tell that person that is in between deciding whether to leave their career or to go into a full-time entrepreneurial venture that they've been thinking about in the new year?
Yeah, I mean, being an entrepreneur is not a wish. It's
Mm.
not the fact that, oh, I wish I can be an entrepreneur. And you can't go in there underprepared.
Mm.
You have to be prepared. It should have taken you years to put things together.
Mm.
You should have a portfolio. You should have a kind of thing that you can show investors, for example, to
Mm.
say, look, this is what we are like. This
Mm.
is what we want to achieve. And investors can look at it and say, you know what, we can do that, except you have the money yourself and you want to do this. But in terms of choosing if you want to do a 9 to 5 work or being an entrepreneur, it goes without saying that definitely being an entrepreneur is way, way, way more fulfilling than having a 9 to 5, because what you're doing on a 9 to 5 is that you're just building somebody else's business.
Mm.
But if you have a business idea and you have all it takes, you have done all your planning and all your assessments and all everything you need to do to form that business, definitely being an entrepreneur is no brainer. But you can't go there underprepared. You have to
Mm.
be prepared, seek funding, seek partnership where it's necessary, and keep on learning to be a successful entrepreneur.
Thank you so much. That's a wonderful way to wrap up, because we are traveling together. Our mission is to empower people to fulfill their purpose, either it's in the marketplace or as an entrepreneur. And I think it ties into something that you've also said about passions, how you can make your passions align with your pursuits. And I think what you just ended with is just fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, and
Thank you very much.
hopefully we're looking forward to bringing you back.
All right.
Thank
It'll be
you.
a pleasure to come back again.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.